3406.
Hello again. This is Sierra Yankee 1, Echo Bravo Echo from Greece, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I decided to show something that is considered kind of trivial for some people. The surprising thing was that I received some messages, emails that were asking about this, and I thought, okay, it's something very basic, but every ham should know about this. So I just decided to show the basics of the operation of the CHIRP program. What is the CHIRP program? CHIRP is, let's say, a universal programmer for radios. Not only ham radios, also GMRS, FRS and others, as long as there are drivers written for them for the CHIRP. It's an effort from a programmer that started many years ago. Now it's a collective effort. People are writing drivers for their radios to work with CHIRP program, and it's always the go-to program if your radio is supported by it in order to program it from your computer. And the reason that CHIRP is important is that it's very good for us that work with radios to have a common base for programming for all our equipment. It's very easy to use, it has a very simple interface, and once you learn it, then you can easily program all your radios in one go, transfer stuff from one radio to another, and keep backups of your files. So I was kind of surprised when I received some messages that asked about things in CHIRP and how do they work, and I decided to do this video. I understand that most of you are experienced with this program and you won't have a need to watch, but some people do. So let's have a look at it. Before I start showing the program, I want to show you the website of CHIRP. It's this one here, chirpmyradio.com. I have read some comments about other sites that distribute an installation file for CHIRP that wasn't really an installation file for CHIRP, so be careful where you go and what you download. This is the official site of CHIRP, chirpmyradio.com, and from here in the first page you can find all the radios that are supported by this program. Although some are supported and are not shown here, they are in development. There are experimental drivers written, and you can find those drivers depending on how the developers distribute them. Still, these are the official radios supported by CHIRP, and you can start by those and check if your radio is in them so you can proceed. You can download CHIRP from here. It says download. I will put links for this site and the direct download link in the description of the video, of course. This is the download page. Every time you will go to this page, you will find the latest release for your operating system. Here we have selected the installer for Windows, and since my program is not updated to the latest version, I'm going to do the install now to the latest one. Here is the installer that I downloaded. So now we have the latest version of CHIRP. Let's have a look here. Now, assuming that your radio is supported by CHIRP and you have connected it to your laptop, to your PC, just make a parenthesis here, take extra care in what cables you use to connect your radios to your PC. We have seen many problems. Actually, most of the problems, 99.9% of the problems are from the cable. In my experience, CHIRP program has not caused any problems to any radios. So be careful, use a good quality cable. The really cheap ones that come from Chinese stores might work most of the times, but they might cause you problems. For instance, we had a big problem with the QuantSync radios that the two pins of the Kenwood plug were not correctly inserted most of the time because of the design of the QuantSync UVK5 radio. So CHIRP was giving a warning that it cannot communicate with the radio, and people thought that it was a problem of the program. No, it wasn't a problem of the program, it was a problem of the cable and the connection with the radio. So my suggestion is either you can make your own cable. It's not very hard, believe me. I'm going to put a link of a blog post that I made some time ago on how to make your own cable. You can use a FTTI chip for this cable, which is compatible with Windows and doesn't need any drivers. It won't cause you any problems. and you can buy this online from AliExpress, and all of the other materials that you need are just 2 pins, like the usual audio pins, one 3.5 millimeters and one 2.5 millimeters, and that's it. If you don't want to make your own cable, you can always buy one. If you give money to buy a cable, please buy an FTDI cable. It's always easier, and you will know that it will be supported from your Windows machine and work as it should. Now, in this video, I have connected a Baofeng radio to my computer, a UV25 radio. I have shown it in another video of mine, also known as the Beast. It's a huge 10 watt radio from Baofeng, kind of military grade. So I have connected it with my FTDI cable to the laptop, and now we have opened Chirp, and let's see how we can start. Over here you will see in the top menu bar, the first thing you can do is you can download anything that is written in your radio already. This is another matter that I wanted to stress. When you receive a new radio, please use any program that the company provides, either for programming or for power calibration, and download all the data that are stored in the radio from the factory. This is very important. We say it all the time. No one is responsible if your radio doesn't work after tinkering with it with third-party programs like Chirp, or third-party firmwares like the ones that go around all the time, for example for QuantSync radios or TID radios and stuff like that. Developers are not responsible for that. You're taking the responsibility, and I believe that since ham radio is all about experimenting, I hope you understand that. So, take a backup when your radio arrives from the factory. I have to say that many times, as I have understood. To continue, as I said before, we have connected the Baofeng UV25 to our PC, and the first thing that we do is go to the menu Radio, Download from Radio. In this dialog, you will have to choose your COM port. It will show you which COM ports are available and connected. You have to find the right one that your radio is connected to. Of course, the vendor, Baofeng, in this instance. Here I have selected the model 5RM. It's not UV25, but I have my reasons to do that. It works better with this radio at the moment, before it's correctly supported from Chirp. As you can see, I got a warning that this is an experimental driver. This warning will be shown in almost every radio that you use with Chirp. They just have to say that it's your responsibility what you're doing and be careful. So yes, do we accept the risk? Of course we do. And we're ready. We press OK, and the downloading from the radio has started. Right, so this is the main environment of Chirp. As you can see, the first page is like an Excel spreadsheet, and the things that you see here are mostly the same in every radio. I have to say that for Chirp, that it changes the interface a bit with each different radio that is connected to it. So most of the columns that you see here will be available, but not all. For instance, this column down here that says S code is not present in all the radios that we connect to Chirp. Another tab that is available here is the settings tab. We'll talk about this in a minute. Now, let's go back to the memories. Here, as you can see, my radio was preloaded with PMR and GMRS frequencies, and in every column we have relevant information. The first column is always the frequency, the second is the name, tone mode, tone squelch, DTCSS, and we'll talk about these columns now. So the first, as we said, is the frequency. Here you can write whatever frequency is supported by your radio. Here we have the PMR frequencies. I'm not going to change them at the moment. And in the second column we have the name. Here you put a name that you can recognize, limited only by how many characters your radio supports to show on its screen. The next column, the third column, is tone mode. Here we have 5 options from which we can choose. Let's see what each one does. So the first option is nothing, as it was pre-programmed here. The second one is tone, and if we select that, we will see that another column is activated, the next one, which says tone, These are the classic tones in most radios. You can choose whatever you want here if it's needed. For instance, in the PMR frequencies, you can put a tone so you can't hear others talking when you want to talk with your family members and stuff like that. I hope I didn't have to say this, but these are not privacy tones. This is another misconception that started from some manufacturers of radios. These are not secret tones. If you put those, it's not that the others can't hear you, only that you can't hear them, so they don't produce noise while you're talking. Now, this option here, tone, I just have to say this. When we select this and put a tone here, this tone is used by the radio only to transmit, not to receive. In reception, it's open. It receives everything in that frequency. And we use that sometimes, mostly in repeaters. When we talk to a repeater, most of the people I know, they don't put a tone to open the squelch in the receive memory. So with this selection, we put a tone squelch in the transmission of our radio. If we select the next one, the next option, TSQL, you will see that this column, the column tone, is not activated anymore, and the next one that says tone squelch is activated. And as you can see here from the description, this tone now is both in reception and transmission. So again, here you can select whatever tone you want, and now your radio uses this tone in transmission and reception. The next option is DTCS, the digital codes, an alternative to the classic tones that we had. Again, here you can select from the predefined ones that are universally accepted. Just note here that the digital tones are used in chirp both in reception and transmission. You can change this and put a tone only in transmission or only in reception, and we'll see later how you can do this. But at the moment, if you select this here, DTCS, and a tone here, it will be used in transmission and reception. Another thing that you can change here when you have DTCS in tone mode is the polarity. I haven't seen many people using that, but these are the options that you have in chirp: normal, 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 reverse, reverse, normal, and reverse, reverse. So we just leave it here to normal, normal. If you have something different in the frequencies that you use, you can change it here. The last option in the tone mode column is what is called cross. And this is how you can make the things more interesting in the tones that you use, if you use them. When you press the cross option, this dialog comes up and you have to choose what kinds of mode you need in transmission and reception. The first option is for the transmission mode and the second one is for the reception mode. So, for example, here we have in the first option tone to tone, which means we transmit tone and we receive tone. The second one is DTCS, that's digital tone in transmission and not tone in reception. The third one, for example, is DTCS only in reception and not tone in transmission. And for example, the fourth one is classic tone in transmission and digital tone in reception, and so on. So if I choose one of those, let's say I will choose this one, classic tone in transmission and digital tone in reception, and press OK, it asks me to select the transmission tone that we already said that it will be a classic tone, and then it asks me to select a digital tone for reception. And as you can see now, here we have in chirp those values that we selected. The tone mode is cross mode. The transmission tone is a classic tone, 79.7. The reception is a digital tone, the 43. And here we can see which cross mode is selected so that we know what we have in our programming. Okay, so far we have covered what those columns are here regarding the tones that you can select in each memory that you program in your radio. The next column that is interesting is here. It's called duplex, and you have also here 5 options. The first one is again nothing, and let's see what the others do. This is the classic offset that we program in our radios, mostly for repeaters. For example, a lot of repeaters here in Greece use a minus 7.6 MHz. So I select minus, and it will ask me how much offset do I have to program in the radio. So I select 7.6 press OK, and as you can see, here we have now minus and the offset in the next column 7.6 MHz. That means that in every frequency that we have here in the first column, this is the receive frequency, and when we transmit, it will transmit in minus 7.6 MHz from that original frequency. The same thing is working also if we have a positive offset in our frequency. So I can change this to be a positive transmission frequency and go up from the original receive frequency in the first column. The next option here in the duplex column is what is called split. If we select that, actually it's the same thing as before, the negative and the positive offset in transmission frequency, only here we have to add the frequency that we want to transmit manually as it is. For example, let's say that I have an offset of minus 1 MHz from the receive frequency that is in the first column, and I will write here 445 MHz, point the rest of the frequency. And when I click OK, you see that here in the duplex column it writes split, and in the next column it writes the frequency that I will transmit as it is. So we receive in 446 point something megahertz and we transmit in 445 point something megahertz. Okay, now the final option in the duplex column is off. When we select this, we stop the radio from transmitting in this frequency. It's receive only. So now, if I upload this memory file to the radio, I won't be able to transmit in the PMR1 frequency. I will be only able to receive. And we need this option because in some frequencies, like airband or, for instance, fire department frequencies, we shouldn't transmit. It's illegal to transmit. So what safest way there is that if we are allowed to listen to those frequencies, depending on your country, you can program them in your radio and just select in duplex off, so you will be sure that you won't transmit on those frequencies by mistake and get in trouble. Right, to continue. The next column that we are interested in is what it says here, mode, and here we can select one of those modes that are available in our radio, narrow FM, wide FM, or AM. Not all modes are available, of course, depending on the radio that you have, and Chirp won't easily let you make a mistake here and choose something that you shouldn't. For instance, if I go here in the PMR frequency and select AM, Chirp will give us an error and tell us that this frequency in this range cannot be an AM mode. So we select wide FM or narrow FM. Next column is what it says here, skip. Also, this is available in most of the radios, and what we select here is nothing or S, the option S, which means that when we put our radio in scan mode, it will skip this channel and won't listen to it if there's any reception. Next one is power. Pretty explanatory by itself. What power do we need in this channel, in this memory? The options that you get here also depend on what your radio has already inside. Chirp cannot change that, cannot reconfigure your radio to transmit in higher or lower power, but it will only present you the options that your radio is capable of transmitting. So here I have high, low, medium. This is what the Baofeng QV25 can transmit, and I have to select one of those options. Next column is the busy lockout. You can enable or disable it to your liking. PTT ID, also not available in every radio. It's available in most radios. You have to select here if it's going to be off or beginning of transmission, end of transmission, or both. And somewhere else in the programming you can set what that PTT ID will be with DTMF codes. As I said before, the S-code column is not available in all radios. It's in this radio. I won't explain what it is or what it does. It doesn't matter. We're doing a generic video here. The last column always in Chirp is the comment column. And here you can write whatever you like that will help you remember something about this frequency. It's a comment that you only see in Chirp and you won't see it in the radio. It's only kept in the file of the Chirp program. Let's write here test. So now let's pretend that we have finished some of the programming that we wanted to do, and we can save this file to save our progress. And let's proceed to the next tab, which is usually the settings tab. Now again here you will see options that are not the same in every radio. But what is important is that whatever you see here is what your radio offers as a programming option. Most of the things that you see will be the same. For instance, every radio has a squelch. You will see this option here to change it and to program it. Every radio has a timeout timer. You will also find this selection here and you can change it. Not every radio, for example, has a power on display type that is presented here. Some do, some don't. Here we can select, for instance, between logo and battery voltage that is displayed when we power on our radio. I'll make another parenthesis here to say that some of the Chinese radios have a feature of changing the boot up logo of your radio to put your call sign in or an image that you like. This, however, can only be changed by the CPS provided by the company and not by Chirp. In Chirp, you can only select if you want the logo to be shown or the battery voltage. You have to change the image from the program that the company provides. So, as I said before, here we have on the left a tree of settings. Sometimes they will be a bit different, but you will always find the basic settings in every radio. And here in this selection, you can change those settings to your liking and upload them back to the radio. I don't think that I should go in every setting here in this video. That's not what I'm making this video for. It's a generic usage of Chirp video. Another thing that we find in most radios is here on the left what is called work mode settings, and usually those settings are for the VFO, the frequency modes of our radio, the basic settings that when we open up the radio are always in the frequency mode pre-selected, and we can change those from here. As you can see, VFO A and VFO B, I can change the frequency that is saved in the radio, and some other basic stuff like the power, the offset, the bandwidth, and stuff like that. So those two tabs are the basic tabs of Chirp programming software. When we have finished with our selections, we save the file, and after we save the file somewhere, we can upload this configuration back to our radio. This is done from the menu radio up here. You go, as we went before, download from the radio, now we go upload to radio. Again, it will present us with this dialog that we have to select the correct COM port if we have disconnected our radio from the computer. Now the vendor and the model are pre-selected because this file is only for this radio, and when we press OK, the programming will start and it will pass back to the radio. That was it. Now, a few more things that we can say for Chirp that might make your life a bit easier. As I said in the beginning of the video, the environment here looks a bit like Excel, and it has some features also like a spreadsheet that I believe that will make your life easier. Let's say that we have 2 or 3 radios that work with the Chirp program. I will open a new tab here. It doesn't have to be from a radio that I have downloaded the file from. Chirp can do this. It opens a new file that you can pass some frequencies inside, and you can have those as a base to program your radios. So for instance, I opened a new file. As you can see here, it says untitled CSV. You can save this file as a CSV, which opens also from Excel, and it's a text file basically, or any other Office program, LibreOffice and stuff like that. And we have the basic columns that are present in every radio, as you can see, the columns that we talked about before. We don't have those extra columns that are specific to each radio. But the good thing here is that we can do this. We can take our frequencies from here. For instance, let's say that we want to copy all the PMR channels. I select them with Shift and click, copy, and go to my new file and go to paste. It will say that we'll overwrite memory 0 because there was already a frequency here. I select yes, and as you can see, all the settings passed from the programming of UV25 to my new file, which now I can upload to any other radio I have. Of course, you will notice that some things might have changed, for instance the power here. Because this is specific to each radio, you will see a generic selection of watts here. Sometimes it will write 8 watts, sometimes it will write 50 watts. It doesn't matter. When you go back to paste those memories to transfer them to another radio, Chirp will make the appropriate adjustment to that radio, and of course you will have to check that everything is okay. For example, if I take PMR5 and copy it from here and go back to the UV25 and select to paste and overwrite PMR5, as you can see, it pasted my selections and it put the power to high. So this is a great thing for me because I have a file with all the frequencies that I use, saved as a CSV file in my computer, and I open it with Chirp when I want to program a new radio, copy and paste the frequencies from there, and it's done. So quickly, so easily. One more thing you can see here in Chirp is that you can add rows without having to write every frequency row by row again. So if we go here, let's say in PMR10, and I want to add a new frequency above it, I select it and press insert row above, and immediately we have all the memories moved down and a new row presented here, so we can write a new frequency. Another trick I want to show you here is that we can change some basic settings in a lot of frequencies in one go. For example, let's say that I want to change the power output in all the PMR channels, as I should, and put them to low. I can select all those channels. I select those with Shift. I will select the rest with Control. It's just like a spreadsheet. And when I right click here, I can go to Properties. Be careful not to change anything here that shouldn't be changed in all the frequencies. For instance, we won't touch the frequency, we won't touch the name, we won't touch the tone modes. I can go down here to power and select low, and that was it. As you can see, all my PMR frequencies now turned to low power. Pretty easy and pretty quick. The same thing can be done, for instance, for the mode if you want to be narrow FM or wide FM, the skip, and even the tone modes, but you have to want all of them to be in the same tone mode. This is why I find the Chirp program a must-know for every enthusiast or ham radio operator. It's a program that helps us do things very easily and very quickly, and it's a base to work upon all our radios, the ones that are supported by it. Also, I say that when we have the option, always say to the companies to support Chirp. Some of them do officially, but not all of them. We have always to urge companies to support this open source software. Okay, one last thing before I close this video, which I think it went longer than I thought it would be, but this is the basic operation of Chirp, and I believe that everyone should know, is to show you something about how to download and get in your radios predefined frequencies that are known. For example, repeaters in your area, or other kind of frequencies like marine frequencies and stuff like that. I will open again a new tab here. Let's say we have a new radio with no memories inside. Also delete this memory. And let's say that I want to pass marine frequencies in this radio. I can go here to the menu of Chirp, File, Open Stock Config, and as you can see here, there are ready stock frequencies in Chirp that you can open and copy and paste in your radio. For example, some time ago, I sent into the Chirp community, and they were kind enough to pass in the stock frequencies the marine frequencies for Greece, and we can find this here, GR Marine VHF channels, and if I click it, it will open all the frequencies that are known and used in Greece in the marine area. So now, when I want to program those in any radio, I can copy some of them and go back and paste them over some other memories or in new cells that aren't used. This also is the case when you want to download and program frequencies from known repeaters in your area. Of course, they have to be documented and well known, but most of them are. So you open again here Chirp in a new page, and you can go here in the menu Radio, Query Source, and from here you can select a website that is better for your needs. We use here Repeater Book. And let's say that I want to download all the repeaters that are available in Greece. I will select the repeater book here. A dialog is presented. I select my country. As you can see, there are a lot of them here documented. An extra option that I can choose, but I won't at this moment, is that you can put the latitude and the longitude of your base, of your SAC, and an area around it, so it will download those repeaters only in that area. For instance, if you have the coordinates of your SAC, you can easily find them and select, let's say, an area of 200 kilometers from your SAC. It will download those repeaters only in these 200 kilometers around your SAC. Very useful option. Another thing that I usually do sometimes is I check what modes of repeaters I need to be downloaded. So in this instance, I want only FM repeaters and not DMR. I will select FM here and press OK. And as you can see, Chirp downloaded all the repeaters that are present in Greece in FM with all the settings that they use. Tones, offsets, mode, and names, also with comments that they say where they are located. As I showed before, from here again you can go select a bunch of repeaters that are close to you, or all of them, and you can go and paste them in the file of your radio and go back and upload those memories to your radio and have them ready quickly and easily. So that was it. I believe I covered most of the basic usage of Chirp programming software. As I said in the beginning, I think it's a must-know for every enthusiast and ham operator that uses radios compatible with this program. It solves many of our problems, and you can program your radios quickly and easily and have backups in your computer with all the configurations that you have in every radio. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, press like. Please subscribe to my channel to be notified for the next videos, and see you next time.